Give them a shot to do what? Give them a shot to do what?
Yeah. So I want my dentist to be a high floor guy, but I don't think that's much of a compliment for quarterbacks. A lot of technical issues going on today, but we're going to.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening right now.
My camera died. This is not good. I don't like when my good camera's not working. It bothers me. It really does. It literally just stopped working, and I can't get it to turn back on. So I have to use a shitty webcam from my laptop. So here we are. Today's pod. We're going to go over the biggest storylines and matchups and predictions for the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. The future of the Baltimore Ravens and Coach John Harbaugh, which when I asked this question, he wasn't fired yet. So I guess we know what the future is, but we'll figure out kind of what's next for both. And which NFL head coaching vacancy is most intriguing. All that and more. And hopefully less technical difficulties. Next. Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports, presented by the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee, and sponsored, as always, Bert, by the haters. Yep. Shout out to y'all. I am the Facebook felon Jerm. That is the prettier Corey Burt. You know the vibes. Happy New Year, Bert. How are you, man?
Happy New Year. I'm tired. You know.
Yeah.
It's like that after holiday rush when you have to get back to normalcy and you're not living in this fantasy holiday dream world again. And you're just getting back to the grind, you know?
I got my camera back up. I'm really happy about that. So
I
do understand that. I'm glad the New Year's here, but 2025 went by ridiculously fast for me. Need 2026 to slow that shit down. You know who? Speaking of going away fast, we're already at NFL playoffs. Like, we're already at the end of the regular season, and we got playoff football to talk about, and that's insane to me. I feel like the season literally just started like a month ago, and like here we are, getting ready to figure out who's going to be
by a lot of twists and turns, a lot of who would have thought that we'd be sitting here saying that the Chiefs knocked out of the playoffs with weeks left in the season. Baltimore not only not in playoff contention but firing their head coach. So man, it's been crazy.
Too crazy. I don't like it, and hopefully I think we got like 5 or 6 teams in the playoffs that have never won the Super Bowl before, so hopefully we get a team that's new to Super Bowl contention, our Buffalo Bills. But we'll see what happens. We'll get to our predictions later, but I think obviously the most obvious spot to start, Bert, is that 18-year head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh, fired. I know they like to say mutually parted ways, but we kind of know what that means is let go from the Baltimore Ravens. So I have to ask you, man, our original question was, what was the future like? We didn't even, honestly, I didn't think he would get fired, but, we had to kind of leave that on the table. But now that he's officially fired, what do you think that means for him? Reportedly, there's like 7 teams that had called within the first hour, which is hilarious because there's only 7 openings and Baltimore's
including
one of them.
One. Yeah, exactly.
So there's a team out there that called about him that currently has a coach. I think a lot of people think that team is Miami, but there's no kind of proof of that. It's just what you read about Mike McDaniel and conflicting reports of whether he says he's staying, but then Miami reporters who were talking to potential GM candidates are saying that he's not going to be there. So I don't know. Who knows? What do you think of John Harbaugh being fired? Do you think that was a good move, smart move? And what do you think is the best fit for? Well, we'll get to that later. Well, yeah, best fit for him. What do you think is the
Yeah,
best
man. I think I don't know if it's a smart move. He's such a phenomenal coach, but he's been with Baltimore for so long. I think it was time for a change for them, right? It just seems over the past couple of years they've been spinning their wheels, and what makes it extra hard is they have MVP candidates. Like they have MVP quarterback, they have a top running back on their team. When you have these weapons and you're just not getting it done, then yes, something needs to change, and it's not going to be the top players. It's then going to end up being the coach. So, look, I think for the Ravens, this is good for many reasons because there are a lot of coaches or potential coaches out there that have the opportunity to inherit ultimately a playoff contender next year. They don't need to change much in order to remain competitive. I see the Ravens opening honestly is one of the best jobs for a coach to go for. Is there is just immediate upside through and through. You have Derrick Henry, you have Lamar Jackson, you have proven talent on both sides of the ball. And honestly, new blood and a new coach is what could possibly separate that and get them into the playoff contention, and of course being in a Super Bowl too. So that's the upside for Baltimore. For Harbaugh, he's got his pick, man. Like he can literally, like you said it best, 6 openings, he got 7 calls, which is incredible. And look, if we're looking at the teams in terms of where he can go, should he choose to continue his coaching career, I honestly see my New York Giants as being the top pick. Big market team, huge upside with a little bit of risk. And the risk is this. Look, well, let me start with the upside. You have a young quarterback in Jackson Dart who has proven himself. We have really good draft capital, and we have emerging offensive weapons, all prime for a coach that might want to grow from the ground up. The risk I see is potentially we know we're keeping Joe Shine. So it's one of these where you get a coach that doesn't vibe well with the GM, you're going to have issues in helping to build that core, or alternatively, you're going to hear drama and then the GM is going to be out of job soon anyways too. But I think overall, because of the draft assets, as well as the youth in the Giants, there's huge potential there. If you're looking for another team for a rebuild, I mean, you can look at the Cleveland Browns too. I mean, they're in prime rebuild mode there. And honestly, I think those two of the current openings are best picks in terms of where he can land. We know that there's probably another team, whether it is Miami or maybe it's a team in the playoffs right now that's just waiting for their early bounce out of it, that had called Coach Harbaugh and said, hey, if this doesn't work out, we want you here, and here is why. But if I'm looking anywhere else, I think the Raiders, they have good draft options, but inherently more risk. It seems as though there's they can't retain talent in Vegas. And I honestly don't see that changing anytime soon. And then overall, I mean, Titans, Cardinals, Falcons, I don't know. I just think with the 3 I've listed before between the Giants, Browns, and Raiders are probably the top choices to go, but who knows? Maybe he wants to go to, maybe he wants to be in Tennessee or Arizona, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think the Ravens still have to pay him for the next 2 years. I think that's the rest of his contract, but so he has the option to sit out, but I don't see that happening with him. I saw just like everybody else, saw the notification pop up, Ravens part ways with John Harbaugh, and I had to read it twice before I said it to the group chat, because usually when a franchise makes a move like this, it's because like the wheels have fallen off of everything. It's because you've lost the locker room, or you've had like 3 or 4 straight losing seasons, and you're completely irrelevant when it comes to, where you were before. And John Harbaugh is none of those things, but that's where we are now, right? You decided the guy who's been the stabilizing force for your franchise in that building since 2008. You won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. And all of a sudden, he's the problem now. I hate this move for Baltimore. And I talked to a few Ravens fans, and I was shocked that it was like, hey, thanks for the memories. Now hit the bricks, kid type attitude. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yo, you guys are tripping. And he's going to be unemployed for like a day if he wants it. Obviously, we saw the 7 teams reach out for him. But, you know, what drives me nuts about all of it is that we constantly talk about culture in the NFL and we want consistency. John Harbaugh was the culture for Baltimore. Look at the teams that cycle through coaches every year, Bert. Every 3 years, the Jets, Raiders. You're going to add Baltimore to that list. They've had like, 3 coaches in their lifetime, in 3 or 4 coaches since they've, left Cleveland and became the Ravens. But this feels like a scapegoat decision. Like what has Harbaugh done? We talked about it. 18 years head coach, 180 and 113 record, 12 playoff appearances, 4 AFC championship appearances, and a Super Bowl. What exactly is his fault? Is it his fault that Lamar Jackson can't play in the playoffs and he's hurt every year? Is it his fault that the wide receiver fumbled in the end zone in 2023 at the goal line? Is it his fault that Mark Andrews choked and dropped the ball, an easy touchdown pass last year? Is his fault that his rookie kicker missed basically a chip shot, field goal to win? Why, like, we're blaming coaches for players choking now? Careful what you wish for. Like, Baltimore sent the message that we are choosing Lamar Jackson over you. And I get it. I know I have eyes. I'm not an idiot. I know Lamar Jackson is talented. I know he does things that are like otherworldly, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend all the playoff failures are on the coach. Like, I can't do it. We've all seen the games. We all know what the deal is. Now there's reports.
Yeah, but a lot of the examples you just listed in terms of losing within the last couple of minutes and or seconds or resulting in these one plays is just a result of that. And I don't want to say it's bad coaching completely, but if your game and or season comes down to one critical play at the end of the game, then yeah, it does come down to preparation. And I know there's a lot into it and we can't completely scapegoat the coaches if the players don't show up. But I will say in an 18-year tenure, playoff success, yes. 1 Super Bowl. I mean, I think we have to look at the average tenure right now in the NFL for head coaches and say, if they're not getting it done, they're not getting it done. And I think with Harbaugh out of the picture, I mean, it falls back on Mike Tomlin to continue to be the longest running tenured coach that we have with one particular team. He's 19 years in with 2 Super Bowls, well over 500 record, usually every season, except for one within the past 19 years, which is impressive in itself. And as we talked about earlier this season too, if Pittsburgh continued to struggle, then we might see an exit there as well. But I mean, look, I can't sit here and be shocked at it. I mean, look at Andy Reid's tenure in Philadelphia, 14 years, up and down programs, 1 Super Bowl appearance, leaves, goes to Kansas City, wins 3. So, this change of scenery could be great,
You bring up Mike Tomlin. I saw a stat during Mike Tomlin's era, 9 different head coaches have been fired immediately after losing to the Steelers. So he's like the Grim Reaper for head coaches. Like, he's just taking them out. I mean, listen, it's cool. It's just, it feels like the Ravens are firing like the CEO of the company because the star salesman couldn't close a deal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're blaming Harbaugh for gaffes, like you at the end of games. Like, I don't know, that to me, that's not coaching. It's like, I don't know, and you just mentioned a lot of teams, there's a lot of teams with vacancies. I'm sprinting to the airport to pick up Harbaugh. I'm not letting him leave the building. Seriously. I mean, I'd fire the Bills. I'd fire Sean McDermott today and bring in Harbaugh tomorrow and have him on the sideline for Sunday's game. Like, I don't care. If I'm a Ravens fan, I'd be very worried that like the one adult in the room just left. And now you're stuck with a quarterback who we've had issues with, kind of like, not really his attitude, but reports that he's sleeping in meetings and he's not really, he doesn't act like a starting quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't really a racial or I guess it's more of a culture thing, but like, he just doesn't present himself as the standard prototypical franchise quarterback, which is fine because he wins and he's 2-time MVP and he's just different. There's really nothing wrong with it. It's just when you go out of your way to be different, those criticisms are going to rear their ugly head when you don't have the success to follow it. And now the only excuse or the only scapegoat they have is John Harbaugh. They better bring somebody in that is going to take him that last little half step and figure it out, because then we're going to start questioning Lamar a little bit more than he will. But and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the next guy will just fix it and it'll be cool. But I wouldn't bet on that.
Well, I think half the issue was to this year with how bad the AFC North was, right? When you look at it, this should have been a clear runaway with Baltimore, and I think that
Yeah.
certainly went into this decision. You look at the Joe Burrow injury, obviously counting Cincinnati down and out, the Cleveland Browns and their QB identity crisis that continued well into this season, but they haven't stopped any other year. So, why start now? And then you had the up and down Steelers, who did we think that a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers was going to be the revival of all revivals? No, but he's scrappy and he got it done. So I think that definitely played into the narrative. I think you said it best. This a new coaching scheme can do one of two things, right? It's either going to put complete onus on Lamar for getting it done, and it's going to be more out in the open than ever, or alternatively, maybe it's going to give them that jolt, and maybe he does need someone different to kind of help spark that too. So, hey man, we'll know next August, but for now, I don't hate it because my Giants need a new coach. I'll hate it if he decides to go somewhere else and we end up stuck with Kevin Stefanski or something, but we'll see.
So I'm glad you brought it up. So let's talk about the best head coaching job. There's 7 jobs we mentioned. The Ravens are the newest one. All things considered, we're not really picking the job for a specific coach. What do you think is the best situation to kind of walk into if you were a head coach? If Bert is the head coach of a team, which one of these teams would you want to go and head coach?
I mean, I said it before talking about Harbaugh and Baltimore. I think Baltimore is the best situation to walk into. You have Derrick Henry and you have Lamar Jackson. Like, what more do you possibly need? Your window for success, if played the right way, is going to be an immediate time frame. You're cashing, you're putting all your chips in, you're cashing out right away, because that's what's going to happen. So I would start with the Ravens. I think that is one place any coach should be able to walk into and see instant success. If they're looking for, high value, high upside, I think the Giants have to be next on the list. And I think it's because of their draft stock, along with the solid play of Jackson Dart and, the young weapons that are emerging with our wide receivers. I think that's where you're going to find individuals gravitate to next. And then, honestly, if we're looking completely at a coach wanting to really build the team, they're going to go to Vegas. It's going to be the Raiders, especially in their draft position, and they're going to want to build up from that point forward. The middle of the pack crew, as I mentioned before, between the Titans, Cardinals, Falcons, I mean, there's nothing that really stands out as being overly attractive to any of those franchises, aside from the 3 that I've mentioned before, or over the 3 I've mentioned before.
So it's funny. When I posed this question, I assumed you were going to say the Giants. And so I was trying to make my argument for the Ravens. But the more I was doing it, I was like, you know what? Because you said something very interesting just now. You're walking into these super high expectations of it's your job to do with the greatest coach in that franchise history couldn't do with this quarterback. That's a lot of pressure and then on top of it, the franchise has already shown you that they're going to choose the quarterback over you. So you better make it work immediately. And then Derrick Henry is older. You're expected to win right now with Lamar Jackson, regardless of the issues that the team had. Because then you're saying that the problem was solely John Harbaugh, and we all know that's not true. So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you have to deal with not a lot to work with, which, Bert, brings me to your New York Football Giants. I think that's the best situation. And I don't, honestly, by a lot. Again, they're in the AFC North. I don't expect the Bengals to be terrible all the time. The Steelers are going to be competitive. There's a lot going on. It's not like a coach is going to come in and the Ravens are just going to dominate it again. It's just the odds are stacked against that team, but I'm buying the Giants stock, and trust me, that feels gross to say out loud, but you're my boy, so I gotta. But look at the pieces they have. You got Jackson Dart, who looked like a good quarterback despite all the chaos that was happening last year. You have Malik Neighbors coming back when healthy, looks like the man, and then Cam Scatterboot. You have your core pieces on offense. You have some good defensive players, and now you have the number 5 overall pick. So you have a lot to work with, and on top of it being like a flagship franchise for the NFL, and it's a good market. But yeah, I think the Giants have more upside because you'll get time, and then you get to build it your way. You going to Baltimore, you have to do it Lamar's way. You have to make it work with Lamar. You can't fix that. Like, you have to just here's what I got, and you have to figure out what went wrong with Harbaugh and then do the opposite of that. That's tough. At least with the Giants, it's a better piece of clay to mold instead of a statue that's already built. And I think that would be a better situation for a head coach to walk into. But we'll see. I know, I get it, man. It's Lamar, but I don't know. I don't think I would want that pressure to follow up Harbaugh and deal with everything that the Lamar Jackson has to.
I find it really hard to believe that he would go to the Browns, right? Like, I don't see him leaving and staying within the same division. But
that would be amazing though, to go to that division and just win with the Browns. That'd be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
But they're a bigger mess than Baltimore is. There's no way. Like, that's not a good job right now. Like, until Deshaun Watson's contract gets away, they have a lot of issues. Like, I would say it's probably the worst job to take right now, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Bert, I want to pose this question as a fair or foul. Fair or foul, now that the Steelers have snuck into the playoffs, are they the most dangerous AFC team?
No. But I mean, most dangerous? Absolutely not. I mean, they are going up against. I think they're just going to get picked apart by the Texans. I mean, look, they got in by the skin of their teeth against a Baltimore team that just wasn't the best all year, and now they're going up against arguably the top-rated defense. And I just don't think that they have the longevity to not. Well, to be dangerous, but also, I mean, make it to Super Bowl, especially in a stacked AFC. Like, I can't see them. So, okay, they win. You think we're getting past the Broncos? Absolutely not. And if they get past the Broncos, I mean, who else? Like, either the Jags or the Bills or the Pats or the Chargers? No chance at all.
Yeah, I think they're a good team. I don't know if they're the most dangerous, but it is a single elimination tournament, Bert, and
fair.
Any given Sunday, and Rodgers, despite the ayahuasca and the darkness retreats, like he's still Aaron Rodgers. He's shown that.
Yeah.
Like, he had that last game. If you would have told me he had 2 game-winning drives left in his tank, I would have said nah. And he did it. Chris Boswell over there. That's the happiest man in the NFL right there, because all the attention would have been on Chris Boswell for missing the kick instead of the Ravens kicker. And hey, listen. If you're one of the Baltimore Ravens fan harassing the kicker's wife on her Instagram page when she's celebrating a life achievement, you're a loser. Like, that shit is loser shit. Like, you were disgusting. You're a terrible human being, and you should be ashamed. That's crazy. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers has played very well. I mean, Carl's New York Jets could use a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, if I should say, but the most dangerous, Josh Allen is still in this tournament. The best defense in the NFL is still in this tournament in the Houston Texans, who offensively, even though the last 2 games have made me, like, my stock on the Texans were high, the last 2 games, specifically the last game of the season against the Colts, I've kind of like dropped that down a little bit. But the defense is still real. And then, of course, you have the Broncos, who have been just good all season. So say what you want about Bo Nix, but I'll say the Steelers are a good team that if they make a run to the AFC title game, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not going to say dangerous, because you're right. Their biggest, I mean, going against the Texans, I don't know how that's going to go. I think the only reason why you would probably give the Steelers a chance is because the Steelers are at home, right? So it's like, Texans playing in the cold. We talked about this before. Like, I need to see the Texans playing in some elements. I don't know what the weather forecast is like for that game, but I need to see Houston do it in the cold, because they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it at some point, and go up to Denver and do it. And so we'll see how that goes for them. Speaking of Denver, Bert, battle of the number 1 seeds. Who has an easier path to the Super Bowl, the Broncos or the Seahawks?
Oh, I think the Seahawks do. I mean, I look at an AFC and it is honestly, it's stacked. It's to the point where we can, and we'll definitely get into our predictions soon. First round is a struggle, outside of, at least for me, the Pittsburgh Texans game, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm looking, I mean, so the Hawks are going to have to go through the Rams or the Panthers, and then after that, depending on the, you got the Birds, the Niners, and then you have your Chicago Bears and the Packers. Which, spoiler alert, Packers fans, I don't think you're going to make it one more week. I do think the Bears are gonna absolutely wallop them. But honestly, the easier path between the two, it has to go to the Seahawks. I don't see. I don't see as much fight. There's not as many dangerous teams on the NFC side as there are. I see in at least elite defense and balanced offense that I see in the AFC.
It's funny. I completely disagree with you. I think I'm going with Denver. And it's not that I think they're just the best team in the AFC. I just think I think the opposite. I think they're, you're talking about Trevor Lawrence, who everybody was labeling a bust a year ago. And he's beat a bunch of sub 500 teams the last several weeks, and people have got him in MVP conversations. You have Drake Maye making even though he's probably going to be the league MVP this year, he's making his playoff debut. And then you have a weary and flawed Steelers team. You have a Texans team where we know the defense is good, but they're a warm weather team that's going to go up to Mile High in the winter to have to play if they make it. And then the only real threat they have is the Buffalo Bills, and they're only really a threat because people are so high on Josh Allen. And I don't think the Bills are that much of a threat either. I don't think they're the second best team in the AFC. So, we're talking about no Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, as opposed to where you have to go against a Super Bowl champion in the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts. You're talking about Matt Stafford, another MVP candidate. You're talking about Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers that are a fake 6 seed because there really could be a 1 seed. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot tougher competition for the Seahawks to get through, because basically every team but the Panthers really has like a legit chance to make it to the Super Bowl. I don't feel that way about the AFC. I think you have the Broncos realistically. I think you have the Bills realistically, the Patriots realistically, and to me that's it. Like, I think those are the 3 most realistic teams, and I think every team except the Panthers, sorry Carolina fans, has a legit shot.
I mean, we're talking about a Broncos team that almost lost to the Commanders and the Giants. Not to mention, I mean, when we're looking at at least their schedule this past year, they won by a field goal against the Texans. They lost to the Jags. So, I mean, this is a team that had notable struggles within their own conference from a competitive standpoint. So, I mean, honestly, that's why I feel as though that they're going to have the toughest route through and through. When you look on the other side at the NFC, I mean, geez, I feel like we ragged on half of these teams all year. I mean, look, I'm not even going to touch the Eagles, San Fran, because we know that that's going to be likely an upset with San Francisco trouncing the Eagles. Then you have Bears, Packers, right? I think the Seahawks can handle them easily. The Panthers, everybody's shocked that they're even in there. I'll give the Rams, right? You got to give credit where credit's due. They've done it before. Matt Stafford's still elite, right? So I just think the Hawks have the easier, quote unquote, path. Look, regardless, Jerm, I can tell you one thing. I'm going to be fucking glued to the TV this weekend because I am so excited. This is probably, in the past couple of years, the first time I am, especially since the Giants are out of it, but very much looking forward to watching every single game. I think it's going to be fantastic. To me, it's going to be rooting for the underdog the entire time, which means I get to root for your Buffalo Bills. So
Yeah. No, apparently the needle moved. The Bills are slight favorites on the road in Jacksonville. I don't know what that's about.
What?
1.5 point favorites. I mean, that's crazy. That's disrespectful to me. If I'm a Jags fan, I'm extremely pissed. As a Bills fan, I don't like that. Like, the Jags don't need any more motivation than they already got. So I'm not really. I was shocked when I saw that number. I couldn't believe it, but it is what it is. All right. The Eagles. I'm sorry. The real upset alert. Bert, who should be on upset alert here? We have the 49ers visiting the Eagles, and then we have the Jags hosting the Bills. Which team? So I guess the question is, which team should be on upset alert, the Eagles or the Jags?
I think both rightfully should be on upset alert, right? I don't want to knock either team. I think the Niners have a very good chance to upset a higher seeded Eagles team. I think when you look at the last couple of weeks of the season, particularly for the Eagles, their offense completely disappeared. And honestly, it really went back. I think back to the Bills game, right, Jerm? The Bills didn't play great. It was basically a meltdown from the Bills, and there was zero offense produced from the Eagles in the second half. It feels as though their offensive struggles can easily be put out there by the Niners and the Niners defense through and through. Brock Purdy getting in his groove. I just honestly, I see, and look, I don't want to count the Eagles defense out because they are a good defense, but I do feel as though that the more likely upset here is San Francisco over the Eagles. That's not to slight your Buffalo Bills. I do still think there's a chance to upset, but the biggest thing for me when looking back at the season, the Bills struggled when they were facing a good defense that had balance to stop the rush and get to the quarterback, and the Jags can do that. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to be an L for the Bills. I'll ride with you and absolutely root for them. But if I'm looking at the more likely upset, it's definitely going to have to be the Niners. When I look at the Bills-Jags matchup, I can see the Bills losing that game, as hard as it is to say to your face.
So when I posed this question, the Bills were -1.5.
Yeah.
Or +1.5. I'm sorry. Now they're -1.5 as a road favorite. So technically the Jags would be the upset, but I don't think people truly think that.
I still don't see it like that. Yeah.
I wouldn't have said it I wouldn't have seen it like that if it was back the way it was when we wrote the question. But I'm with you. I think the Eagles have been on fraud watch for the last couple weeks. And I think that their offense, yes, they get Lane Johnson back, but I don't think the offense is all of a sudden going to just figure it out just because it's playoff time. We hyped up the Niners for the last couple weeks. They're not a true 6 seed. They have figured it out. Like that's that we just talked about how Brock Purdy had graduated from the game manager role to like, hey, this guy's a really franchise guy. I don't want to ignore the last 7-8 weeks of Jacksonville, but Josh Allen is Superman. Like if the Jags win, it's fine. Like the Bills just sucky playoff history just because that's the story of the Bills. If the Jags lose though, people aren't going to bat an eye. It's not going to be like a huge, like, oh my God, the Eagles losing, that's going to turn some heads because then it validates all of the issues that the Eagles have had all season that the Eagles fans choose to ignore because they were winning games. But I'm with you. I think the Niners are going to head into Link and just run all over them. I think especially the weather's supposed to be uncharacteristically nice in Philly. I think it's
going to be warm and possibly rainy,
Yeah,
they're going to see
football.
Likely 50 degrees,
Yeah, that's Niner football. Like they like that. Like they're from California. They get that. So, I feel like the Jags are just happy to be here, and I think that the Eagles have a lot to prove, and I think that pressure is going to get to them. And so, I'm with you. I think that's going to be the way it is. More pressure to win this season. You have the MVP, 2 MVP candidates, but the most likely MVP in Drake Maye. First time in the playoffs, resurrecting the Patriots dynasty, kind of on the table there, carrying the torch, the legacy of Tom Brady. You have Matt Stafford, who probably would like that MVP another Super Bowl MVP to kind of stamp a first ballot. I think he's crossed over into Hall of Fame status, but maybe to be first ballot Hall of Fame, this would be a nice little thing to have. Plus, his
Mhm.
time's running out a little bit. He doesn't have much. He doesn't have much of these left in him. Who do you think is under the most pressure to win right now out of those two, Drake Maye or Matt Stafford?
I think it's how you started that question. It's going back to fantastic season, MVP caliber, resurgence of a historic and dominant Patriots franchise. It's Drake May and the Pats. There's more pressure for them to win. And it's
Yeah.
because the Rams have been there before not too long ago. Matt Stafford has won. I think this helps them be a little bit more relaxed and not so nervous. I think the Pats may come out a little bit shaky, but then collect themselves in the second or even the second half. Um, so I think there's arguably more pressure on Drake May. We've talked about this. There was a lot of talk about, yeah, the Pats are out there. They're just walloping sub 500 teams. They're the frauds, this, that, and the other thing. So I think that there's more added pressure for them in itself. Yeah, I agree with you about Matt Stafford. I think he wants that MVP. He wants another Super Bowl to help solidify and try to stand for first ballot. But as I can tell you from a Eli Manning stand, it doesn't matter if he's got 2 Super Bowls and a Super Bowl MVP. It's not going to make a difference whatsoever. I don't know. Maybe winning regular season MVP might change that, because Eli was snubbed last year and he's probably going to get snubbed this year, because I think Drew Brees is in contention, and they're definitely not going to vote two at the same time. But we'll save that for another show. So look, I think all eyes on New England. I think this is going to be very telling for their season and how they approached the game this weekend. And ultimately, I think they're going to win. But if they lose, I think that everybody's going to write off the season completely as being like, yeah, it was all right, but it wasn't epic or elite.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the only real pressure for Stafford is the fact that they're playing the Panthers, and that's probably not like a loss you
Yeah.
want to take. But if they do lose, it's not really going to mean anything other than the fact that Stafford may not get this opportunity again. But it doesn't matter. He's a Super Bowl champion, so it's not going to.
Yeah.
It doesn't really. I guess it would matter for some people, but in terms of what it means for Drake May, who is the MVP, you can't lose in the divisional round if you are the second year shooting star meteor who's going to be MVP, resurrecting a franchise, an historic franchise, a dynasty, and you're spearheading that with everything that's going on. I think people are going to, because again, Matt Stafford losing this game doesn't say, oh man, this guy's fraudulent or this guy is a bum. Like, if Drake May loses this game, depending on how they lose it, there are going to be some hums of, wow, fool's gold over there in New England, huh? Like, it's just like that kind of already, a lot of that died down when Buffalo scored 8 unanswered points on them in the fourth quarter in the second half of that game, where like New England looked amazing in the first half and then couldn't do nothing in the second half, and then they kind of turned it back on against some lowly competition, but that was like the first crack of like, oh, hold up, so yeah, I think Matt Stafford will get grace even if they're playing the Panthers, more so than what Drake May will get if he loses in the divisional round as the MVP, 2 seed in the NFL, or in the in the AFC, and losing that game is probably not the best thing for his for him. All right, let's get to wild card predictions, Bert. We have Super Bowl super weekend, right? Starts Saturday. I'm really upset that I picked some parlays that I probably shouldn't have picked, but we're here to do some predictions. We'll start with Saturday's game. At 4:30, we have the Rams at the Panthers, because the Panthers won their division at 8-9. I don't know, Bert. Can the sub 500 Panthers actually win a playoff game? Who's your pick for that?
They could. I mean, neither team is showing up as having an elite defense, and I think that's what's going to carry individuals through playoffs. But Carolina at home, I think I want to say gives them an edge. I will say Carolina just because I want to root for what I perceive as being the underdog. So I'm going to go Carolina. I think they're going to surprise some individuals and shock the world here.
Wow, Bert, hold on. I had to do a crowd gasp for that. They did beat them a few weeks ago, so it's not out of this realm. They have that tape of what they can do now. The difference is I think Devontae Adams is playing, so maybe that changes some things. I know the Panthers defense has been frisky down the stretch, but lately the Rams just feel like a team that nobody wants to play. And again, playoff football is a little bit different than regular season football. And the Panthers haven't been there. So I'm going to go with the Rams with that one. Saturday night, we have the 7 seed Packers in the NFC facing the number 2 Bears. Battle of the North. Bert, who you got in this game?
Bears fans continue to celebrate. I do. I think the loss of such core defenders within the Packers is what's going to put them at a little bit of a loss here. And Chicago's defense has a fantastic ability of generating turnovers, and they're going to build off of the excitement of the season and leading into the playoffs too. I do think, obviously, you need to put up points in order to win a game. So I think it's going to really depend on the nerves of a Caleb Williams. But I think with the holes in the Packers defense right now, I just have to give the edge to the Bears. I think they're going to make it one more round. I have the Bears winning this one.
This is the script the NFL writers dreamed of. You got Caleb Williams, guy who's supposed to save this franchise, hosting a division rival in the Packers in his first playoff game.
And I think they split the season too. So this is going to be,
This is going to be, Jordan Love been weirdly inefficient on the road, but he's very sporadic in the playoffs. That's going to be the interesting, because he had like one playoff game that he was amazing. And then last year he throws like 3 picks and he just looked terrible. So I think this game will be ugly. It's going to be cold.
It's going to be close.
I think it will be close, and I think it's going to come down to a stupid turnover. And I think Caleb Williams is going to make that stupid turnover.
Okay.
I'm going to pick that Packers upset just to sound smarter than everybody else on Twitter. Oh, wait. I am smarter than everybody else on Twitter, so I'm going to go with the Packers while you go with the Bears. That'll be interesting. Sunday game, my Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Josh Allens taking on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who you got in that game?
I have the Jags, dude. I'm sorry. I do. I'm hoping for the upset, but I can't ignore the fact, and again, I said it before earlier, when you go back and you look at the Bills' offensive struggles, it came down to defenses that had that inert ability to make sure that they stopped the run and also got on Josh Allen's face, and that was the defensive balance. That's what's going to stop the Bills offense and Josh Allen in particular. So I think that if the Jags show up at home with that energy, it's going to be tough for the Bills to generate much. I hope I'm wrong for your sake, but as far as my picks are concerned, if I'm a betting man, which I am, I'm going with the Jags.
Shocker, Bert, I'm going with the Bills.
Weird.
Josh Allen experience. Yeah, it's weird, very weird. Nobody saw that coming. I mean, the Josh Allen experience in the playoffs, we get it. He's 7-6 in the playoffs, but if you look at his numbers, he's actually like all-time great in the playoffs, regardless of the losses or the wins. He steps up. He's rested that foot. There's going to be good weather in Jacksonville, which is great for an opening round of football. I'd be nervous if we had to go to like Pittsburgh or somewhere else, or Houston, but I think the Jags will be a good thing. I know the metrics guys love Jacksonville. They're at home. They're balanced. They don't turn the ball over. But again, 7 of their last 8 games were against like awful teams. Like they played the Colts twice, the Titans twice, the Jets were thrown in there. They do have an impressive win against Denver. I'm not gonna, but we also have an impressive win against New England. So I don't think, I think the gap that people try to make between Jacksonville and Buffalo are a little bit closer than what it seems. Buffalo sneakily has one of the better defenses since Thanksgiving, including that terrible run defense. I'm not saying the run defense is great. I think they're average, but our pass defense is great. So if we can contain the run a little bit and create some turnovers in the passing game, which we're obviously capable of doing, I think the Bills have a really good shot. And again, the Bills thrive in the mud, and it just feels like, honestly, this has the makings of Buffalo not making any sense for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, Superman Josh takes over in the 4th and wins the game in a close one. I think this has all the makings of like a 31-28 type game. You know what I mean? Like one of those type deals. So I'm gonna go with Buffalo in that one. Sunday we have the 49ers at 4:30 at the Eagles, rematch of the 2023 NFC title game. Bert, who do you got for that?
And we talked about it before. I'm sticking with the Niners on this one for all the reasons that we listed. The Eagles' offensive inconsistency, the Niners hitting their stride at the right time. So I do think that the Niners are going to walk away. I'll be honest with you, though. As a Giant fan, there's no way, even if the Eagles did not face the struggles they've had over the past week, I cannot sit here and collectively say that the Eagles are going to win regardless. So I'm a hater through and through. It's never going to be an Eagles pick.
Yeah, the fuck are we talking about? I trust the 49ers defense front. I think they're going to wreck the game. I trust them more than I trust the Eagles. Yeah, there's not a chance I'm picking the Eagles. Come on now. Like, I've been calling these dudes frauds. I'm definitely not going to pick them to win the divisional round in the wild card. Like, I'm not a chance. The Eagles are finally going to get their comeuppance. This playoff is setting up nicely for me. I think the Bears are going to lose. I think the Eagles are going to lose. And I think the Bills are going to make a run to the AFC title game. And it's going to be double. And God forbid, you Eagles and Bears fans better hope you win, because it'll be double middle fingers the next time we see us on this show. Brock Purdy takes another step forward. I think the Eagles are going to 49ers are going to rout the Eagles. And I'm picking the Niners as well. Bert, we have the 7-seed Chargers traveling to Foxborough to face the Patriots in Drake May's playoff debut. Who do you got in that game?
Got the Pats. I like the Pats at home. I know I'd spoken about it a little bit before on the show too. Chargers, they have really, really good rush defense. They have an ability to get to Drake May, right? We've seen that. So I think if they continue to get in their face, what we spoke about before, first playoff game, the nerves might be there. There might not be time to collect. So if they can get in Drake May's face early enough, it could throw everything. But the Patriots have a solid defense as well. We know they have the offensive weapons to get it done. The coaching has been outstanding this year, and we know they're going to prepare very heavily going into this. I see the edge slightly going the Pats' way. It's going to be close, but that's who I'm taking.
Yeah, it's crazy to see Drake May leading the Patriots to a 2-seed in AFC. I'm really upset about it, but it's a tough spot for Drake May. You're asking a young QB to outduel Justin Herbert, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, in a primetime playoff game. That's a lot. But then I had to remind myself that it's the Chargers in the playoffs who invent new ways to lose every year for some reason. The Patriots are at home. It's cold. The defense is elite. And that sounds miserable for a West Coast indoor sunny Chargers team that loves to play finesse football. So the Chargers should win because they're more talented, but that's exactly why they won't. Foxborough in January is terrible. So yeah, I'm with you there. I think I'm going to go with the Pats. Last game, Monday night, the Houston Texans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. CJ Stroud versus Aaron Rodgers. Who do you got in that one?
Man, the Chargers defense, the Houston's defense is way smoother than Pittsburgh's offense can ever be. I don't see the Steelers walking away from this by any means. I think the Texans are going to take it. But, and you pointed this out earlier in the show, it's going to 100% depend on what version of CJ Stroud shows up. Is it going to be the surgeon, or is it going to be the guy walking around with sunglasses and a cane because he's blind? Like, I just can't. We would hope that that's the case. But again, I mean, who knows, right? But I honestly think with the way the Houston's defense is, I don't see Pittsburgh being able to generate much.
Everybody's probably going to pick the Texans. They have a better quarterback at the moment.
Yeah.
Flashier offense. All the metrics and all the numbers say they're just a better team. But the Steelers have this annoying habit of dragging you into a street fight where that talent don't matter. It's only pain. And now they have Priest blessing the field. And I'm going to go with the Mike Tomlin voodoo. I'll be real with you,
I can respect it.
I think that win, that miraculous win, to put them in the playoffs over the Ravens has given them some juice going into the playoffs. I like that team of destiny type, that is one of the best games I've ever seen. That ending was wild. And I think they had their life taken from them and then given back in a moment. And I think they're going to ride that, at least in the first round. It's hard to come down from that. And they're at home, which is probably the only reason I'm picking them. And like you said, it's going to be a tough game, but the Steelers have found a little bit of a formula for winning through a very up and down roller coaster type season for them. And I think if they can kind of hold and suffocate Houston's offense a little bit,
Mhm.
they got a chance. TJ Watt's back. I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think if they can
I
control the time of possession and control the ball, I think they're gonna. I think they can pull it out in like a close game. I don't think it's going to be anything wild, but I think
I think this
21
would be a
points a bit
great
is
thing
enough.
for Aaron Rodgers' career arc if he actually ends up. I mean, let's say let's just say they mow through everybody and make it to the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Man, what like to see? I would root for Aaron Rodgers to win the Super Bowl, and then hopefully he'd retire and not come back ever again. Like that's this. I think it would just be fitting for a guy that is hated on so much to find success. You know.
Yeah, I'd be really excited about that. Um, and we're big Aaron Rodgers guys, so took a lot of twists and turns there. I'm not sure how you fumbled Olivia Munn, but then I guess we'll forgive you for that. It's cool.
Listen, we can have a whole
Uh,
other show discussing the
I know.
fumbles he's had when it comes to dating life. We can do that with a lot of athletes, right? You know,
Yeah, it's insane. Um, Bert, do you have a game ball you want to give out?
I got two. I got one. I one for the NFL, one for the NHL. On
Sweet.
Sunday, Miles Garrett broke the single season sack record. Has to get a huge shout out for that. Just an incredible accomplishment through and through. Especially all while doing it with the Browns. So,
Yeah.
honest, take nothing away from that. That is absolutely huge. So he gets one of my game balls. The other one, the Winter Classic, was played on Friday night. Fantastic win by the New York Rangers over the Florida Panthers in Miami. Was very weird to see an outdoor game in a stadium in
Yeah.
which the roof retracts, so not really completely outdoors, but whatever.
Mhm.
Rangers remain undefeated in outdoor games. Specifically, my game ball or game puck will go to Mika Zibanejad, who had the first ever hat trick in a Winter Classic and just played ridiculous hockey. So he gets my game ball, to say the least, from the Winter Classic.
Yeah, mine was obviously going to go to Miles Garrett, so I'm not going to really add anything to that. That
Yeah,
crazy
that's
accomplishment.
just
It's amazing. Jamar Chase, stop bitching. Nobody, I mean, stop bitching. They're gonna stop the game for you too. Whenever you break some type of wide receiving record, that was some baby back bullshit I've ever heard. I get it. It's a division rival. Your job is to hate, but shut the fuck up. Like,
I was at when Michael Strahan did it. I was at
mhm,
that game. Like,
yeah,
and I'll be honest, like they stopped it then. It was a f- you know what? It's a moment that regardless of what team you root for, you appreciate it. So to hear
yeah.
other players bitch and complain about it, just shut the fuck up. Like it's insane.
Yeah, crybaby Jamar. Your team's not even going to be around. It's all about you guys have 3 wins. You guys weren't about to you winning the game wasn't going to matter. You're trying to do hurry up offense. Just enough of you. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week to give you the next round of NFL playoffs react. Well, I don't know if we'll be back next week because if the Bills lose, I don't know if I'll I don't know if I'll make it. I don't know.
If the Bills lose, I think you might have to do the show with like a bag over your face.
I might
No,
have
well, I
to.
mean, hold on. If the Bills lose and the Eagles and the Bears win,
If the Bills lose and the Eagles and Bears or Bears, one of the both.
and it's got to be both because those are the two teams you've hated
Okay.
on the hardest all
Okay.
season.
So if I'm on it. If the Bills lose and the Eagles and Bears win, I will do next show with a bag over my face, and I'll let the audience choose what's written on the bag, and I'll do it. I swear I'll do it, because I'm a man of integrity, high moral fiber and integrity. Thank you for joining us. Please follow us at Stuff About Sports on the Instagram. Please follow us on YouTube at Give Us a Shot Network, TikTok at Give Us a Shot Network, and Instagram at Give Us a Shot Network. Enjoy the football, everybody. Take care of each other. And if you are currently vacationing in Venezuela, you probably want to cut that trip a little bit short these days.